to arrest the white men. Put your weapons down. White people are not our enemy. And that was the second disappointment for some of us. But you hear political leaders coming to this stages and telling you how they always agreed with Nelson Mandela. It's a lie. I'm telling you today, I disagree vehemently with it. And many thousands of people, millions of people did also. The third thing Nelson Mandela did, in South Africa, the pride of white people was the Springboks. Don't you know? That was the pride. White people love the Springboks as much as they love their family. We would go against any team that plays against the Springboks. We would pray, meditate. Well, not meditate that time, but we would wish, whatever we do, for the Springboks to lose. Whenever the Springboks lose, it will become a great day for us. The All Blacks was in the habit of regularly beating the Springboks. So many people, I remember Trevor Manuel, had been called to order by Nelson Mandela. Because even after democracy, him, myself, and a lot of other people were still wearing the All Black t-shirts. I stopped wearing the All Black t-shirts, I think 15 years into democracy. 20 years into democracy. In the Western Cape, the majority of people there were All Blacks. I'm mentioning this to you so you can understand the extent of the hatred for the Springboks. And Nelson Mandela came and he said, we said the Springbok emblem must go. And Nelson Mandela stood with the Springbok people and he said, this emblem is going nowhere. We were furious. We saw that as the ultimate betrayal. How can this man say this emblem that caused so much hurt, so much degradation, so much exclusion should remain? And Nelson Mandela was unmovable. He listened to no reason. Leaders in the ANC went to see him privately to say, Tata, we have to change this emblem. The people want this emblem changed. He said, over my dead body, this emblem is going nowhere. I told you those three stories before my second point today. A leader should have vision. A leader should lead. A leader should not be told how to lead. Nelson Mandela has successfully led us, because if you listen to me and everybody else that thought like I thought, our country, it has been Armageddon. If we took white people's houses, property rights would have not existed. And when property rights don't exist, there's no country. So there would have been no country. If Nelson Mandela had listened to us, that we should go and kill white people after Tsanyane died, there would have been a genocide in our country. There would have been a genocide. Well, that's the second thing. Today, the Springbok emblem is the biggest, most important unifier in South Africa. The very same emblem that we wanted to get rid of as a country, today, 30 years after Nelson Mandela said, over my dead body, that emblem is the source today of our happiness index rising. That emblem today brings joy to us. That emblem today represents us as a country. That emblem today, I went to China And they were speaking about table tennis, the ministers, and how good China is. And he looked at me, the Chinese minister said, how's the table tennis in your country? The table tennis is not that good. I said, well, we're getting there, but how's the rugby in your country? And it has become our pride and joy. The Springboks has won the World Cup, multiple times. The Springboks has become our North Star when it comes to reintegration, when it comes to social cohesion. Now, I'm mentioning this to you to show you the visionaryship of a leader. A leader that Nelson Mandela was. Nelson Mandela, you cannot mention, you shouldn't mention, without mentioning Mama Winnie Mandela. That is something that people are scared to say. I cannot come here and mention Nelson Mandela because that would be half the story. The full story is Winnie Mandela was a hero that faced the apartheid regime every single day. Winnie Mandela kept the home fires burning when Nelson Mandela could not light the fire himself. It was Winnie Mandela that made us believe. It was Winnie Mandela. So there's a media onslaught that tried to change the narrative that Winnie Mandela was a criminal. Winnie Mandela was a killer. Winnie Mandela was loose cannon. That is the furthest from the truth. Our struggle, when our struggle heroes were in exile, when our struggle heroes were in prison, Winnie Mandela dealt single-handedly, leading us to fight against the apartheid regime. When the youth of 1976 rose and they said, we are going to take on this regime, they were inspired by Winnie Mandela. So if anybody ever tell you that Winnie Mandela played a small part, you must know you're dealing with a person that was through all the history. History demands of us to tell it truthfully. And the truth of the matter is, there would have been no Mandela if he was married to any other woman. There's a Mandela because he was married to Winnie, not Mandela. For the Christians that are here, I want to tell you, the Bible speaks about the Esther. That was Winnie Mandela. The Bible speaks about the Ruth. That was Winnie Mandela. So I cannot come here and give you half the story. I have to give you the full story. And it will also be dishonest of me to come here in front of the 16 guests here and not talk about what's making the headlines. I have to talk about the genocide accusations against South Africa. I have to talk about xenophobia. Because I cannot come here and not speak about it. You have a right to know because you are invested and you've invested in our freedom. So I want to start with the genocide. I can categorically tell you that my best friend is white, Charles. Charles, that's for the purposes of proof. He's white. He said to me today, I can't wait to get home. We've been away for a month, 2 months. He says, I cannot wait to get home. This is a white South African that says to you, I cannot wait to get home. Now that sentence alone must tell you, there's no white person who will say, I can't wait to get back to the genocide. I might be lucky to get free this time around. I went to speak in America, and stand to speak about the genocide issue. But before me, one of the executives of Delta Airlines spoke, and he was speaking about how they have now got many flights to South Africa. They used to have only one flight. I think they got 6 now, Cape Town to Johannesburg. And he was talking about, we have 6 flights. It was my turn to speak. I said, ladies and gentlemen, what do you want me to say? Here's the CEO or executive says, he just told you, he went from 1 flight to 6 flights in the past 12 hours. Do you really think he's going there for genocidal tourism? To go and see how people are being killed? It is the biggest balderdash. It is absolute nonsense. There's no way to describe it. It is bullshit. There's no better way to tell you. If you've ever heard bullshit, bullshit is when you tell you that South Africa there's a genocide happening in South Africa. The very same messages, the messages of the bullshit, the bullshit message of genocide. So let me just get it right. The bullshit message of genocide will slide into America, go to the White House or whatever house they're going to according to them. Then they fly right back to the genocidal country being white. The first people that any man will protect is your wife and your children. Who leaves their wife and children behind and say, I'm coming now, I'm just going to report the genocide. You don't get yourself killed now, get back. So it's absolute nonsense. The second issue, which I'm going to be very truthful, and it's painful. African countries played a massive role in our liberations for African countries, they shelter to our leaders. Ethiopia gave a passport to Nelson Mandela and renamed him David Tann. Morocco gave money to our struggle. Zambia hosted. The same was Zimbabwe. We should pay the huge price to host our leaders. And we became free. Angola, the same. When we became free, we had certain expectations as South Africans. Free education, illegal foreigners start streaming into our country. They started to stream into our country. We have warned the ANC government multiple times. I led that fight. I was on the forefront in the country. I coined the term Baba Hunger. And we said we are going to have a crisis. That was not before I was in government. I'm in government now, I have a voice. And I found very similar voices in government hesitating for law and order. Our prison population, I'm going to give you 2 states. The first state is that youth unemployment is sitting close to 50%. Our youth don't have jobs. It's a recipe for disaster. 50% of our youth don't have jobs. The second state I want to give you is that 20% of our prison population convicted are illegal foreigners. But I repeat it, 20% of our prison population is convicted illegal foreigners. The world expects us to allow illegal foreigners to work in our country. somebody gets killed, we can't find the person because they are not documented. Now, countries like Ghana says we are xenophobic. Ladies and gentlemen, I serve under a man called Sir Patrick Vernon. No one in our country was as close to the teachings of Nelson Mandela than Sir Patrick. The night when nobody knew how Nelson Mandela looked, a day before his release, Cyril Ramaphosa formed part of the delegation to go and help Nelson Mandela to write a speech. He told me that they were sitting there, he showed me, Minister, we were sitting here. We didn't know of all the people that's going to come out of that one room, which one is Mandela. And he said, we found out, we knew instantly who Mandela was. I said, how did you know? He says, the regalness, the way he walked, without saying a word, he knew that's Nelson Mandela. So back to the point, the jobs that are usually reserved for young people are being taken by legal foreigners. Government, in the State of the Nation of the President, he made it very clear that government will now ask people to go home. And I want to say to you in conclusion that 80,000 Malawians decided by themselves they're going home because they don't have papers in our country. That's one country. We have a problem, ladies and gentlemen. And I want to end by telling you today, every struggle will be exploited by people with sinister motives. I'm not standing here and saying there are not people that assault illegal foreigners. I'm not sitting here saying there are not people that are criminalizing the just call for illegal foreigners to go. And I came in to tell you that South Africa is still standing on business of reconciliation. South Africa is still standing on business of honoring the legacy of Mandela. I came in today to tell you, thank you, thank you, thank you. And you are
Some students have come all the way from Birmingham today to read some of the letters that they've written to the leader for a better world. And they've got a train to catch at 9:30. If they miss that, they'll go